So I've done a few takes, but I didn't really feel like I got the point across that I really wanted to. So this will be the final take of the Hugelmound video, or at least the update video that I've been trying to make. So the biggest thing is we got some replacements for the male sea berries that died from One Green World. It's a pretty good nursery. I think it's in Portland, but don't quote me on that. They sent us these fucking monster male sea berries. I think they were 40 bucks a piece, which is pretty steep, but in the grand scheme of things for male sea berries, it's not bad. And you can see that they survived and in fact have new growth on them, which means that these Hugelmounds are settling in pretty good, and luckily the sea berries are settling in pretty good. What I've done is I've gone behind and roughly leveled out. Now you can see there's some deep areas here, like in the middle. I just kind of took an extra few scoops so it kind of pools up there. But I've leveled these out to where when water comes down the hill, it'll fill up this channel roughly evenly. Again, there's a steep spot in the middle, but that's because I plan on hilling this and putting some more plants and kind of bulking out the middle here, because that is you can see that there's wood exposed there. So I needed to bulk it up more, so I kind of dug that out and bulked it up with the soil that I pulled out from there. And you know, essentially it's just prepping for the future. That's what that is. On this Hugelmound, I did roughly the same thing, but because of the contour on the ground here, right about here it starts sloping up pretty significantly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this, you can see I built a small dam there, this being kind of like the apex of it. I'm going to pull dirt out kind of from about that leaf, start pulling it and downhill and pooling it there, so that this will also be roughly on contour. Probably no more soil on this top side, but we'll hill this up as I go. Apparently Haskaps can hill pretty well, just from what I've heard, but we don't know for sure. This is one of the younger Hugelmounds. These two here were our oldest and subsequently the smallest. I didn't really know what I was doing when I built those, but these ones are a little bit larger. They actually look a lot better, but the only problem is that they're pretty young, so they're still leaky. There's some air pockets that haven't been filled in. So if you were to, there's the infamous West Tennessee spider holes, fucking all over the place here. Anyway, whether it's those guys or if it's just air pockets, water tends to leak if it fills up too high back here. But for like average rainstorms, it'll never crest that little, it's about like that in dimension, maybe 1.5 inches tall and like 4 inches across. Water rarely even goes out of that, but if it does, it'll leak through down this way, but that'll be solved with time. And you know, as I excavate silt from there, I'll be hilling it up. So you can see here's 3 Hugelmounds in the making. Got one there with some Japanese wine berries. That's pretty much done. You can see the chickens kind of just blow these things apart constantly. But this is like the foundations of one. We've got some really hard old dead wood here. We'll probably throw some chicken poop all over that from the coop, and then do some sticks and then twigs and then leaves, and then do like a soil or a topsoil or compost or whatever on the top, and that's where you'll plant into. This one is just a step ahead of that. So we've got big logs. I mean, that's a pretty thick son of a bitch. And we've covered it in some extremely nitrogen rich, I mean, this stuff reeks. Essentially that's like the floor layer of the chicken coop. Every couple months we just get a flat spade and scoop the whole thing up, because despite the efforts of all the wood chips and straw, you know, they shit a lot. So that's hopefully going to absorb a lot of that nitrogen, kind of get some of the stink away, but that prevents it absorbing nitrogen from the compost or finishing soil we'll put on top. So the next step is going to be finding a lot of sticks, maybe about, it's pretty much got the stick layer. It just needs twigs and leaves now, which again, constantly get blown off, so we're waiting for the fall. But this one's going to be a pretty good one, I think, in maybe a season or two. They just have to break in. That's the big thing that no one tells you about with Hugelmounds. It's like, yeah, they're one of the best growing mechanisms, especially in, it doesn't show it, but I mean, that's a steep grade. West Tennessee, I mean, it's no mountains for sure, but it is definitely steep hills. Anyway, it's one of the best growing mechanisms you can get on a hill area. You know, hill culture is the English translation of the concept, but the problem is that it does take time to establish, and rarely do people actually warn you about that. Something I'm going to try, and I did do with that one, and I want to continue it here, is actually excavating the uphill side and kind of doing like a swale, like a hidden swale under the Hugelmound. And I really fucking like that idea. So we're going to continue that here on contour all the way to the forest. And then down the side of this line between like forest lawn-ish and actual forest, we're going to continue the pond water project. This drought has been pretty brutal. So you can see these are dry as a bone, but that's the perfect time to pull out the nutrients and things that accumulate at the bottom of the ponds. So I'll just keep you updated as we go. Thanks.